Welcome everybody, bienvenidos todos para esta sesión, for this session on social and solidarity economy in East Asia. Bienvenidos a la sesión sobre la economía social y solidaria en Asia Oriental. And today we have three speakers from east to west. Hoy tenemos tres ponentes desde el este al oeste. First, Osamu Nakano from the Japanese Union of Workers Corps de Japón, Osamu Nakano de la Unión Japonesa de Cooperativas de Trabajo Asociado. And the second speaker is Marie or Myung-hee Lee from Korea, who will talk about from the Band Foundation. La segunda ponente es Marie o Myung-hee Lee de la Fundación Band de Seúl. And the last speaker is Michael Lai from Macau, who knows very well about Hong Kong. So he will talk about the scenery in Hong Kong. Y el último ponente sería Michael Lai, que vive ahora en Macau, pero de Hong Kong. Por lo tanto, va a contar sobre el panorama en Hong Kong. Osamu, can you start your presentation?
All right, let me see.
Oops, I have to change it. I suppose I have to change it.
Yes, yeah, I'm share.
Okay. I suppose you can.
Did you change, Miguel?
No, nothing appears. So. If not, I can share from my local computer.
Okay. Okay.
So, okay.
So actually, right now you are controlling this view, right?
So, yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So hello everyone. My name is Osamu Nakano. So actually, I'm working in Japan Workers Cooperative Union. And today, so actually, I'm gonna explain a little bit briefly, worker cooperative movement in Japan, because I know today's theme of this session is social economy or solidarity economy. So, however, in Japan, unfortunately, social economy and solidarity economy is not popular at all. In other words, in Japan, so nobody generally discuss social economy and solidarity economy in political and economical arena, and even if some intellectuals or academia, or some people in cooperative movement or labor movement, something like that, there are some people talking about this kind of field, social economy and solidarity economy. So, however, in general. So in Japan, there's no discussion on social solidarity economy. So in this regard, so I'm going to explain workers cooperative movement, because workers cooperative in Japan right now is regarded as a certain kind of social enterprises, in the social enterprises through work integration. So in this regard, I'm going to explain workers cooperatives as work integration social enterprises.
Ok, ahora voy a traducir. Hola a todos, su nombre es Osamu Nakano y está trabajando para la Unión Japonesa de Cooperativas de Trabajo Asociado. Hoy va a explicar brevemente sobre el movimiento de cooperativas de trabajo asociado en Japón. Lo más importante es que en Japón no se habla bueno, el concepto de la economía social o solidaria no es nada popular, entonces nadie discute este concepto en el no campo político económico, y solo hay algunos intelectuales o cooperativistas que hablan ocasionalmente, no puntualmente sobre este tema, pero se conoce poco. Entonces hoy va a hablar de las cooperativas de trabajo asociado en Japón como empresas sociales de integración laboral.
Okay, good. Okay, thanks. So actually, there's a more broader definition of the so-called cooperatives in industrial service sectors. And this concept definition is that cooperatives in industrial and service sectors, of which a principal objective is to serve members' employment or business activities. And this, as you can see, there are many kinds of cooperatives in these sectors. For instance, workers' cooperatives and labor cooperatives or social cooperatives. So as you know, for instance, in countries like Italy, social cooperatives is pretty famous. And moreover, there are share service cooperatives, multi-stakeholder cooperatives, or shareholding cooperatives. But unfortunately, I don't have time to explain all of them. But I want to emphasize, there are so many kinds of cooperatives in industrial service sectors, and worker cooperatives is one of them.
Entonces, bueno, aquí en el PowerPoint se ve más o menos los distintos tipos de cooperativas en los sectores industriales y de servicios. Entonces, bueno, son no cooperativas en los sectores industriales y de servicio cuyo objetivo principal es servir para el empleo de sus socios o actividades comerciales. Entonces, a este grupo pertenecen la cooperativa de trabajo asociado, cooperativas laborales. En Italia las cooperativas sociales son fuertes, y haremos como cooperativa de servicio compartido, cooperativa de servicio compartido, cooperativa empresaria, cooperativa stakeholder, múltiples, etc.
Right, and actually, as you may know, there is international organization called International Cooperative Alliance. This is, international organization of all cooperative sectors in the world. And actually, ICA, International Cooperative Alliance, is the biggest NGO in the world. And within, ICA, International Cooperative Alliance, there's a sector organization called the CCOPA. CCOPA represents, cooperatives in industrial service sector in the world. And here, as you can see, CCOPA has 49 members in 32 countries, who affiliate 65,000 enterprises and employing 4 million persons throughout the world. And moreover, there are two regional networks: there's CCOPA Europe and the CCOPA Americas.
Entonces hay una alianza internacional de todo el sector cooperativo, que es la Alianza Cooperativa Internacional, que es la ONG, la mayor ONG del mundo. Y hay como organizaciones sectoriales como CICOPA, que agrupa cooperativas del sector de los sectores de servicio, que cuentan con 49 miembros en 32 países, a que pertenecen 65.000 empresas, que emplean 4 millones de personas en el mundo.
And actually, so I'm going to explain, Asian members of CCOPA later. So however, I want to say, right now, president of CCOPA is come from, Mondragon. So as you know, pretty, very, very famous, workers cooperatives there, Spain. And moreover, from Spain, I think, besides Mondragon, there are 3 or 4 members of CCOPA, because Spain is one of most famous countries in the workers' cooperative movement in the world. So actually, on the global scale, Italy and Spain are two most important countries in this field, in this workers' cooperative movement. So by the way, Asia, relatively speaking, I mean, compared to Euro-American countries and Latin American countries, in Asia, workers' cooperative movement or movement of cooperatives in industrial service sector is still weak. And in other words, still, this movement, this cooperative movement, is led by European countries and Latin American countries. So, however, yet there are several, members of CCOPER. As you can see, there are 2 member organizations from China, and there are 1 organization from Korea, Korean Federation of Worker Cooperatives, and there are 1 organization from Vietnam, and then Japan Workers Cooperative Union. Go to next, please.
Okay, entonces, España e Italia son los países con más presencia, ¿no? Además de Mondragón, etcétera. Pero bueno, Asia en general en Asia las cooperativas de trabajo asociados todavía no son tan consolidados. Pero sin embargo existen como algunos miembros importantes. Aquí se ven, ¿no? 5 miembros de CICOPA, 2 en China, 1 en Vietnam, 1 en Corea y bueno, y 1 en Japón. Sí, un momento.
Right. They are also, associate member of CCOPER in Asian countries. Actually, both of them are coming from India. SEWA and USCCS. SEWA is actually pretty famous. Workers cooperatives in India. Actually, they are women's organization, and moreover, in Asian countries, there are cooperatives in these sectors. I mean, cooperatives in industrial service sectors in Philippines, Sri Lanka, Australia, Indonesia, Bhutan, Malaysia, Mongolia, Nepal. So even if they don't have a national organization of workers cooperatives or cooperatives of industrial service sector. So however, there are some enterprises similar to this kind of similar to workers cooperatives. They have such a thing. So in this regard, I want to say actually it's not easy to find out social solidarity economy movement. I think in East Asian countries. So however, moreover, still workers cooperative movement is relatively weak. As I told you, compared to European countries and Latin American countries. So however, there are already some enterprises pretty similar to cooperatives in industrial service sectors. So I think we can think these enterprises as a certain kind of social enterprise or social solidarity economy, which exist in European countries and Latin American countries.
Entonces, bueno, como decía, bueno, había también 2 miembros asociados en la India, y ahí, bueno, aunque sin que haya una red nacional, existen también cooperativas de servicio en distintos países como Filipinas, Sri Lanka, Australia, Indonesia, Bután, Malasia, Mongolia, Nepal, etc. No es fácil encontrar el movimiento de economía social y solidaria en países de Asia oriental, no como en Europa o en Latinoamérica, donde las cooperativas de trabajo asociados son todavía todavía frágiles, pero bueno, hay algunas iniciativas similares, a veces son cooperativas, a veces son otras empresas sociales.
Right. What's going on in Japan? So actually, JWCU, I'm coming from JWCU, Japan Workers Cooperative Union. JWCU is a national federation, national center of workers cooperative movement in Japan. Actually, JWCU was established in 1979. So in this sense, we already have almost 40 years, more than 40 years history in Japan. And we have our individual members, almost 15,000 throughout Japan. And almost 10,000 worker members and 5,000 are non-member workers. And we have our 28 member societies. I mean, we have there 28 workers cooperatives are belonging to JWCU.
Ok, entonces ahora vamos a hablar de la Unión Japonesa de Cooperativas de Trabajo Asociado, a que pertenece Osamu. Entonces es una federación nacional de las cooperativas de trabajo asociado de Japón, fundada en 1979, por lo tanto tiene 40 años de historia. Y bueno, cuenta con unos como 15.000 socios, de los cuales 10.000 no son socios trabajadores, 5 son socios no trabajadores. Y además existen 28 entidades socias.
Right. I want to skip here. I want to skip this page. Please skip. Thanks. I want to explain a little bit about what's going on in Japan, contemporary Japan. In other words, what's going on in contemporary Japanese society. And actually, relatively speaking, Japan is still maybe still rich countries. So indeed, unemployment rate is still pretty low. So however, at the same time, there are so many precarious employers. In other words, they don't have pensions or health insurance and labor insurance. They don't have such a thing. These precarious workers, they are 38% of total working population in Japan. So moreover, there are so many part-time workers, low-income workers, so-called working poor, and moreover, there are so many recipients of public assistance, 2.41 million in Japan. And moreover, within the so-called OECD countries, the rate of relative poverty in Japan is pretty high. Actually, 16%. And moreover, relative poverty rate of the old and children, both of them are 22% and 40%, pretty high. So in this regard, maybe Japan is still rich wealthy country in a certain sense. So however, there are certain certain sort of gap between rich and poor, and actually this gap is growing more and more.
Bueno, ahora vamos a pasar a un poco de la sociedad japonesa. Todavía se considera que Japón es como un país no rico, donde hay poco desempleo, pero eso no significa que los empleos sean decentes. Entonces, de hecho, el 38% de la gente no tiene empleo precario y ellos no tienen, por ejemplo, pensión o seguridad social muy fragmentada y bueno, y además entonces hay esos tipos de trabajadores de escaso ingreso que bueno, decimos como trabajadores pobres y también bueno, hay más de 2 millones de personas que reciben asistencia pública y la tasa de pobreza relativa es bastante alarmante, o sea, es del 16% en general, y entre los mayores son como 22% y 14% en caso de los niños.
Right, and moreover, actually, I already told you, certain kind of socio-economic problem in Japan. So, however, there are other social problems. So please look bottom line. There was a hikikomori. Hikikomori means recurse to people in a certain sense. In other words, hikikomori means those who haven't have any kind of social relationship with outside the world. Sometimes for 10 years, 20 years, more longer years. And actually, right now in Japan, there are 540,000 hikikomori in Japan from 15 years old to 39 years old. And moreover, from the age 40 years old to 64 years old, there are 610,000 people, they're hikikomori, 610 people. In other words, right now in Japan, there are so many people who doesn't have any kind of social relationship with outside the world. So actually, this is a very, very crucial problem, social problem in contemporary Japan. And so I already explained, socio-economic problem in Japan, unemployment, there are so many precarious workers, and actually relative poverty rate in Japan is pretty high. And after right now, COVID-19 pandemic, this situation is becoming worse and worse indeed. And there's so many crucial problems already right now in Japan.
Bueno, entonces hay otros problemas socioeconómicos en Japón y el más relevante es lo que se llama en Japón hikikomori, o sea, son aquellos reclusos que no salen de sus habitaciones, ¿no? A veces por 10 años, y ahí, ¿no? En el PowerPoint ve que, por ejemplo, entre 15 y 39 años hay 540.000 hikikomoris, y entre 40 y 64 años hay 610.000 hikikomoris. Entonces, esa gente no tiene relación social y eso es un problema social muy grave en Japón. Y con todos los otros problemas mencionados, y ahora con COVID-19, Japón, la situación en Japón se va a empeorar.
Right, and actually, Japan, workers cooperative in Japan. So we are trying to resolve, these socioeconomic or social problems in Japan. So that's the reason why we are engaged in social service in broad sense. And as you can see, here, this is a figure showing our turnover, annual turnover. Is almost 330 million US dollars. And moreover, this figure shows, our business spheres. Could you go to next slide?
Bueno, entonces, por lo tanto, las cooperativas de trabajo asociadas en Japón tratan de resolver estos problemas sociales y nos estamos comprometidos a los servicios sociales en sentido amplio, y ahí se ve que, bueno, nuestra facturación anual es de más o menos como 330 millones de dólares.
Yeah, for instance, workers cooperative in Japan, so we are providing elder care. In Japan, there are so many governmental service for elderlies, and actually, we are doing, various kinds of service in the field of elderly care, daycare and home and personal care and meal delivery service or something like that. And moreover, we are providing, service for children and parents, like nursery school, after school program, and children's center and child care support. And moreover, so we are providing care and support for people with disabilities. And there are so many programs for people with disability in Japan. So, and I want to say, the reason why, workers cooperative in Japan are providing, these social services because, so as I already told you, in Japan right now, there's a very serious, growing gap between rich and poor. And so that's the reason why, we have to provide, these social service to vulnerable people in a certain sense in the society, elderly, child, people with disabilities. So that's the reason why, workers cooperative in Japan, so we are providing, social service for these peoples.
Entonces, bueno, aquí no se ve, ¿no? Se ven algunas áreas de trabajo como asistencia a las personas mayores, asistencia diurna en casa personal, reparto de comida preparada, asistencia preventiva, etcétera. Y también servicio para niños y padres como guardería, programas posescolar, el centro de niños, soporte a la asistencia a los niños, también asistencia y soporte a las personas con diversidad funcional, etcétera, etcétera. O sea, las cooperativas de trabajo asociadas en Japón ofrecen estos servicios en la sociedad donde hay cada vez más disparidad entre los ricos y los pobres, y sobre todo para ayudar a las personas vulnerables.
Right, and actually we are also providing support for youth and or support for hikikomori. So in other words, as I already told you, hikikomori means those who have doesn't have any kind of social relationship with the outside world, and we are providing support service to them. And moreover, we are providing support for disaster survivors, and we are also running management of public facilities, right? Senior centers, community centers. Or moreover, we are providing hospital cleaning service, street park cleaning, hospital cleaning, and building maintenance. So in other words, workers cooperative in Japan. So we are thinking, cooperatives or workers cooperatives, or I might say, social solidarity economy enterprises have to provide social service or service for the people at the bottom of the society in a certain sense. So in other words, most vulnerable people, most precarious people in the society.
Entonces, bueno, además, bueno, ofrecen ¿no? soportes para los jóvenes y también para aquellos hikikomoris, ¿no? Los reclusos de que, bueno, hemos hablado. Entonces, y también, bueno, ofrecemos ¿no? ayudas a los sobrevivientes de aquellos, ¿no? aquel terremoto y el tsunami del año 2011. Y también ofrecemos ¿no? gestión de facilidades públicas como centros de mayores, centros comunitarios, aguas termales, sanatorios, etcétera, y también nos dedicamos al mantenimiento de edificios, limpieza de hospitales, calles, parques, etcétera. O sea, las cooperativas de trabajo asociadas en Japón no se dedican a los servicios sociales para la gente vulnerable y también precaria.
Right, and we actually work as cooperative in Japan, so we define working style of ourselves as this, the so-called associated work. And associated work means, actually this is a definition, our definition of associated work. It's a new way of working to create enterprises in which each person could be a master of his or her own life. It's a way of linking the needs of human life, local communities, and their difficulties, such that everybody jointly contributes to building capital, managing business democratically, and sharing responsibility. And actually, these figures explain the difference between the so-called associated work and employed work. Employed work means, actually it's pretty clear. Employed work means, working under, the private companies or capitalist companies. And associated work, in associated work, only one member is doing everything, capital contribution and management and work. And on the other hand, employed work, as you know well, they're split between capital contribution or investment and management and work. So in this regard, associated work is a distinctive characteristic of working style in workers' cooperatives.
Entonces aquí se ve, bueno, en Japón no se usa el concepto de trabajo asociado y ahí ¿no? Se ve la definición que es una nueva manera de trabajar para crear empresas donde cada uno podría ser dueño de su propia vida. Es una manera de vincular las necesidades de la vida humana, las comunidades locales, sus dificultades de forma de que cada uno contribuya conjuntamente a la construcción de capital y a la gestión democrática de empresas compartiendo responsabilidades. Y abajo se ve la diferencia entre el trabajo de empleado como empleado y el trabajo asociado. A la derecha se ve el tipo del trabajo, empleo en que, bueno, un gestor no hace cualquier cosa, ¿no? Mientras que en caso de del trabajo asociado, la gente distribuye el propio trabajo, ¿no? La gestión y, bueno, el aporte de capital.
Right. So actually, I want to explain a specific example of workers' cooperative in Japan. So, however, my time is already running out, I think. So I wanna say, pretty briefly, about specific example. For instance, here is workers' cooperative in, Chiba Prefecture, pretty close to Tokyo. And actually, here, in these workers' cooperatives, actually, these workers' cooperatives are providing an elderly care. Daycare center for elderly people. So, however, on the other hand, they are workers with mental disabilities. So, in other words, in these workers cooperatives, people with mental disabilities, they are working as worker members of cooperatives, and they are working as care providers. So, in this regard, here, we can find out, certain kind of mutual, help between caregivers and caregivers and care recipients, receivers.
Ok, entonces, bueno, ahora tiene, ya tiene poco tiempo, entonces se limita a hablar de un caso de asistencia a las personas mayores. Se trata de un centro centro del día para las personas mayores, y lo interesante es que en ese centro trabajan personas con diversidad funcional mental. O sea, ahí esa gente trabaja, como para prestar ese servicio de asistencia. Entonces existe un cierto tipo de ayuda mutua entre los cuidadores y los cuidados.
So, go to next. Next. Okay, and this is another example of workers cooperative in Japan. So actually, workers networks, these workers cooperatives is providing a cleaning service, street cleaning or something like that. But I'll go to next. Actually, a manager of these workers cooperatives, actually, in the past, he struggled with alcoholism. And then right now, he's pretty okay. So, however, due to his, such a personal background, he received, everybody as his colleagues. Go to next. So, in this regard, there are so many, people in these workers' cooperatives, including those who are suffering from mental disabilities, alcoholism, Asperger syndrome, and drug dependence, and HIV positives, ex-prisoners, ex-homeless, and something like that, and hikikomori. And actually, they are working as members of worker cooperatives, and they are working as street cleaners. So in this regard, there is a certain kind of social inclusion or social integration through through working.
Ok, entonces el segundo caso es una cooperativa que se dedica a la limpieza, pero el gestor sufrió el problema de alcoholismo. Entonces él mismo sufrió esa exclusión social y entonces él mismo recibe diferentes personas como colegas. Entonces, por lo tanto, ahora tienen colegas de distintos tipos, por ejemplo, gente con diversidad mental, alcoholismo, síndrome de Asperger, drogadictos, gente con HIV, y entonces esa cooperativa sirve para la inclusión e integración social.
Okay, go to final page.
También, como dice, sí.
Yeah, final page. Okay, so that's the reason why I think you guys already know why it's work integration social enterprises. Why these are type of social enterprises which focus on improving employment prospects for those first from the labor markets through a wide range of work-based opportunities. So here is basic characteristic of WISE, and they are private and autonomous enterprises operating on the market, and where the disadvantaged workers have employee rights under national labor law, and whose core mission is integration through work of disadvantaged people. So by following these basic definition or fundamental characteristic of WISE, work integration social enterprises, worker cooperative in Japan. So even if there is no legal definition or legal concept or political term of social enterprises in Japan, so however workers cooperatives, we are regarded as a certain kind of WISE in Japan. All right, thanks.
Bueno, entonces, no sé, creo que, habéis escuchado, del concepto de empresas sociales de integración laboral, ESIL, o WISE en inglés, que es un tipo de empresas sociales que se enfocan en la mejora de perspectivas laborales para aquellos más alejados del mercado laboral mediante una amplia gama de oportunidades basadas en el trabajo. Y aunque no existe ninguna definición legal, se está viendo que esas cooperativas de trabajo asociado están ofreciendo esas oportunidades para la integración social. Gracias. Okay, so
yeah, I'm sorry I spent much time. Sorry.
Okay, so thank you, Osamu, for your presentation about Japan. So the next speaker will be Maria or Myung-hee about Korea. So can you share your presentation?
Miguel, I can activate my presentation.
Okay, seems that I have to do it for everybody. Okay, so now I'm trying to share. Okay.
Then shall I start?
Oops, a moment. Sorry. Okay, now I suppose you are seeing her presentation. Okay.
So hello everyone. It's a big honor to be a part of World Social Forum of Transformative Economics 2020. I would like to thank to Mr. Miguel Yasuyuki Hiroyuta for organizing this event. My name is Myung-hee Lee, and I'm working for the Band Foundation. I was working for the intermediary organization for social and solidarity economy over 13 years. Today, I will talk about social and solidarity economy in Korea.
Entonces, hola a todos, ¿no? Es un honor para ella también, ¿no? Estar parte del Foro Social Mundial 2020 y a mí me agradeció ella por la organización de este evento. Ella, su nombre es Myung-hee Lee y, bueno, lleva 13 años trabajando para una organización intermediaria en economía social y solidaria y hoy va a hablar de la economía social y solidaria en Corea.
So before we go to the next slide, I would like to explain one thing because we have a bunch of stuff to deal with. So I made a self-explain of the slide. Even though I skipped the slides, you can review all the slides and study by yourself from your end. And I hope you can understand I skipped some slides during my session.
Okay, debido al límite de tiempo no va a presentar todas las diapositivas, pero espero que podáis leer después.
Yes, first let's start with Korea overview. We have 51 million in population. It's similar to Colombia. And the size of the country is slightly bigger than Portugal. And we are highly homogeneous ethnic group, the Koreans. And we are using Korean language and Korean alphabet. And we have a currency which is called Korean won. And the religion is diverse in Korea, but 46% of Korean people are irreligious. But we should comment that we have strong background of Confucianism.
Quisiera comenzar con la presentación breve de Corea. Corea tiene 51 millones, más o menos como Colombia, y la superficie es un poco mayor que la de Portugal, unos como 100.000 kilómetros cuadrados. Únicamente Corea es muy homogénea, casi todos son coreanos y se habla el coreano y también se usa su propio alfabeto y la moneda no oficial es won coreano. Y en cuanto a la religión, hay mucha diversidad, pero el 46% no tiene ninguna religión particular, aunque tiene mucha influencia del confucianismo.
So, when you see the economic overview of Korea, we have GDP per capita slightly over $30,000 US, so which is similar to Spain. And when you see other indexes, and you can easily read the indexes during the slides, but I would like to mention that we are very easy process to open business in Korea. And you can see our employment rate with 4.5%. It is quite high rate when we think that Korean employment situation is quite inflexible.
Entonces, el PIB per cápita es un poco más de $30,000, semejante a España. Y hay otras estadísticas, pero quería resaltar que Corea es uno de los países más fáciles de emprender y la tasa de desempleo es menor, 4,5%.
And now let's roll up our sleeves and let's have a big dive into the social economy in Korea. The English paragraph comes from the Korean government. So the Korean government defined the social economy like this. When you read through, you will find that it is similar to other definition of social economy. But I would like to point three things. It will be the same as other social economy definition. it has to be the non-governmental activities, and it has to have business activity with social value, and it has to carry the voluntary activities with cooperation.
Entonces, aquí está, ¿no?, la definición, ¿no?, de la economía social por el gobierno coreano, que, ¿no?, es parecida a la de otros países, ¿no? Pero quisiera destacar 3 puntos. Que, en primer lugar, tiene que ser una ONG, que, ¿no?, y las actividades, ¿no?, económicas tienen que tener valores sociales, y, bueno, también en el sentido de debería haber algún tipo de como voluntarismo.
Yes. Maybe you know already that the Korean government has very strong drives to boost social economy. This is true. I will explain it later of this slide, but I would like to point out from the government supporting scheme, we classify the social economy organization with 4 different types. First, we should understand the 4 different types of social economy organization to differ your understanding. To name it, first, certified social enterprise. Second, community enterprise. The third, self-sufficiency enterprises. And the fourth is cooperatives.
Entonces, bueno, es verdad que el gobierno coreano ha estado impulsando, no, fuertemente la economía social, pero hay que entender que existen 4 tipos de organizaciones de economía social, o sea, empresas sociales certificadas, empresas comunitarias, empresas de autosuficiencia y cooperativas, incluso, entonces, bueno, vamos a ver.
Yes. So first, I would like to shortly introduce each types of social economic organizations in Korea. First, social enterprise. It's a business entity with social mission. And for being a certified social enterprise, you should keep the social mission what the government designated. For example, creating decent jobs for the disadvantaged, or creating social services for the disadvantaged. You should spend more than 2/3 of your profit for social purpose. And once you are certified as a social enterprise, you can have tax benefits and labor cost subsidy and R&D cost subsidy loan program, etc.
Entonces quisiera contar como brevemente los 4 tipos, ¿no? El primer tipo son las empresas sociales y que tienen su propia misión social y tienen que ser como certificadas, ¿no?, por la definición del gobierno, por ejemplo, por ofrecer a los grupos sociales vulnerables ciertos servicios sociales u oportunidades de trabajo y más del 2/3 de la ganancia tiene que destinarse a sus propios fines sociales. Y al cumplir esos requisitos, ¿no?, las empresas sociales consiguen distintas ventajas fiscales, subsidios, etc.
Next, the village enterprise or community enterprise. The village enterprise should be run by the community residents and owned by community residents. Mm-hmm. To this end, the community enterprises should benefit the community while they are doing the business. Under this criteria, they can get business subsidy up to $110,000 with 3 different stages. It is supported by the Ministry of Interior and Safety.
Entonces, la segunda categoría son las empresas comunitarias de base que, bueno, que son poseídas y donde los trabajadores y también los que aportan capital son principalmente, ¿no?, residentes locales. Y estas empresas consiguen un subsidio de hasta $110,000, ¿no?, por el Ministerio del Desarrollo del Interior o algo así.
Mm-hmm. Third, the cooperatives. I think you all may know about the concept of the cooperatives. The distinctive things in Korea, it's very easy to establish a cooperative in Korea from 2012, because we have Framework Act on cooperatives since then. And you can just register cooperatives if you have 5 or more members, and the members can be a legal entity or individuals.
Entonces, bueno, la tercera categoría son las cooperativas de que, bueno, ya sabéis todos, ¿no? La diferencia es que, bueno, con la aprobación de la ley no básica de cooperativas en 2012 se hizo más fácil establecer cooperativas. Entonces, solo hay que registrar cooperativas si, no, en una oficina del gobierno, si sois al menos 5 socios y ya está.
And I would like to add one more thing for the cooperatives. Since the cooperatives are only for the members, it doesn't have direct benefit for being a cooperative. But if you were certified as a social cooperative, it's like a social enterprise with the legal entity of cooperatives. In this case, you can have similar benefits as social enterprise in Korea.
Bueno, por ser una cooperativa no se consigue ninguna ventaja fiscal, pero si son clasificadas como cooperativas sociales, entonces se consiguen ventajas similares a las de empresas sociales.
And the fourth is a self-sufficiency enterprises. These enterprises are mainly for the disadvantaged people. After they get trained or after they got skills in the sheltered workshop or public work project, they can open their own business. If they have 2 or more beneficiaries, they can open the business. And if it is admitted by the Ministry of Health and Welfare, they can have labor cost subsidy. And when they make sales, they have to send it back to the central fund for the general good. And yeah, as you can understand, through this system, they can be not that eager to make money with this scheme.
Entonces, la última categoría son las empresas de autosuficiencia y son principalmente para las personas no vulnerables o con desventajas. Entonces, ellos primero pasan por alguna capacitación y empiezan empiezan su propio negocio y existen distintas, como subsidios y por parte del Ministerio de Salud y Bienestar y también, entonces hay como subsidios de costo laboral, etcétera, etcétera.
Up to now, I've explained 4 different types of social economy enterprises. So from this diagram, you can see that every social economy enterprise gets government support from different ministries, because different ministry has different role to do, and to compensate the mission of that ministry, they support the distinctive social economy organization under their own criteria.
Entonces, ella ha explicado 4 tipos de empresas de economía social y solidaria. O sea, cada categoría está bajo el control de su propio ministerio, entonces cada uno tiene su propio criterio.
Now, you might think that Korea has no voluntary movement of social economy, but actually not, because the government could recognize the social economy through the robust policy proposal from social and solidarity economy activists or players. And I would like to add one more thing for the local government. And in Korea, all 7 provincial government or metropolitan government has special ordinance for the social economy. And in municipality level, we have a social economy supporting center. And with the 47 municipalities, they are constructing the Council of Social Solidarity Economy to make coherent strategy in local level.
Bueno, hasta ahora no se ha hablado de las actividades voluntarias por parte del sector, pero eso no significa que no existan el protagonismo de los actores de la economía social y solidaria. Sí, pues ellos mismos propusieron leyes, ¿no?, para que se aprobaran todos esos esquemas. Entonces, gracias a eso hay muchas políticas, ¿no?, robustas para promover economías sociales y solidarias, y quisiera destacar que todos los 17 gobiernos regionales y locales, o sea, bueno, Corea tiene gobiernos provinciales, pero grandes ciudades como Seúl o Busan tienen, ¿no?, un nivel de gobierno similar a la de provincia. Y todos esos gobiernos, ¿no?, provinciales, etcétera, tienen decreto para la economía social. Existen también 76 centros de soporte a lo largo del país, y también 47 municipalidades son miembros del Consejo de Economía Social. Economía Social.
And on this slide, you can see the history of social economy related to institutionalization. So I will just point out two things. In 1997, we have Asian financial crisis, and people are start to recognize that we should help the disadvantaged to have better society from 1990. But that's why we can have National Basic Living Standard Act from 2000. That means Korea have institutionalized safe net for all people. But in otherwise, it can be explained like this. The government has some kind of limit to be a welfare state. They cannot do every work for every people. And during this agony and thoughts, the government wants to utilize the social economy as a vehicle to compensate the government work somehow, even though it cannot be 100% of the government work, but it can boost the citizens' voluntary movement for the general welfare.
Entonces, bueno, ahora, bueno, aquí está en castellano, el siguiente está lo mismo en castellano. Entonces va a explicar, ¿no?, un poco sobre la institucionalización de la economía social, ¿no? Quisiera destacar dos cosas. En 1997, Corea vivió la crisis asiática económica, y la gente empezó a reconocer que hay que ayudar a la gente vulnerable para mejorar la sociedad. Y como primer paso se aprobó la ley del estándar básico nacional de vida, que más o menos garantiza, ¿no?, bueno, que sirve como un tipo de red, ¿no?, de seguridad. Pero bueno, por otra parte hay que reconocer, no, admitir que el gobierno quiere usar la economía social para compensar los trabajos que hacía el gobierno con el desmoronamiento del estado del bienestar.
That's why we could have Social Enterprise Promotion Act in 2007, and in 2012 we have Framework Act on Cooperative.
Bueno, eso explica que en 2007 se implementa la Ley para la Promoción de Empresas Sociales, y en 2012 la Ley Básica de Cooperativas.
And I would like to mention about the size of social economy in Korea now.
Okay. Entonces quisiera explicar el tamaño de la economía social.
So for now, you can see the number of social economy organizations on your right side. It is the statistics of 2018. Now we have over 20,000 social and solidarity economy organizations in Korea. We have more than 110,000 people who are working for the social economic organizations. This means that 1.4% of all employment in Korea.
So it was no, it was rather this or this.
The first one.
Okay. Entonces, bueno, ella decía que, bueno, en 2018 hay más de como 2,000 organizaciones de economía social y solidaria en Corea, y trabajan como 110,000 personas, y creando como el 1,4% de todos los empleos.
And today, more than 40% of social economy enterprises are concentrated in Greater Seoul, but I think it's natural because 1/3 of the total population lives in Seoul.
Ok, y de hecho hoy en día más del 40% de las empresas se concentra en Gran Seúl, pero es natural, porque bueno, 1/3 de la población coreana vive ahí.
And I would like to mention about the public procurement from the social enterprise and social cooperatives. It's taking up 2.5% of its total public procurement for now.
Y ahora, bueno, el 2,5% de toda la compra pública está hecha para estas empresas sociales.
And I also would like to mention that we are using a lot of methods to induce funds for financing social economy organizations. So for now, we are using over $190 million for financing social economy organizations.
Entonces hay distintos canales, distintas líneas de financiación. Entonces hoy en día se financia más o menos como $190 millones para estas empresas de economía social.
Yes, next slide, I will skip it and you can easily read it, read the implication and statistics.
Entonces, ahora no tiene tiempo para explicar, pero bueno, ahí se ve más o menos las estadísticas.
And from now on, I will explain 3 different cases. All are from social economy organizations, but one from the company, one from the intermediary, and one from the network.
Entonces ahora va a contar 3 anécdotas. Una es cooperación, una es red, y the second one, sorry.
Second one is intermediary.
Una entidad intermediaria.
So first, I would like to introduce Totsoni Foundation, which is a social enterprise in Korea. It gives quality services for all. So for the normal patients, they get they have fee-based services. And for the patients from the disadvantaged group, they give free services. They also give quality jobs for the woman breadwinner from the disadvantaged with a caregiving job.
Entonces, la primera iniciativa es la de la Fundación Totsoni, que no es una empresa social en Corea y ofrece servicio de calidad para todos. Y entonces, sorry that I didn't understand where those parts after the social enterprise in Korea. Sorry.
Social enterprise in Korea, and they give quality jobs for the woman breadwinner.
Women workers, okay.
Yes.
Entonces, bueno, ofrece el servicio de calidad para las trabajadoras, mujeres.
Usually when the patient's in, they get job, but when the patient's out, the caregivers doesn't have any job to do. And they didn't have any safety net for the caregivers. But Totsoni Foundation set up the minimum wage, even though they don't get any patients. And they provide social insurance for the caregivers.
Entonces, normalmente los pacientes no reciben esos cuidados solo cuando están hospitalizados, pero la fundación paga a estos cuidadores, aunque los pacientes estén en casa, garantizando así el salario mínimo.
Next slide. So currently, they have over 500 caregivers. And 77% of that caregivers comes from the disadvantaged group. And usually they take care of 230,000 patients per annum.
Entonces, bueno, hay más de como 500 cuidadoras, ¿no? Y el 77% vienen de la clase vulnerable y no cuidan a unos como 230,000 pacientes al año.
And second case study is a mutual aid fund of Band Foundation. The concept of mutual aid foundation goes like this. The social,
Sorry. Entonces, el segundo caso es la Fundación BAN de Fondo de Ayuda Mutua, y ahí está el esquema.
The social economy enterprise can put $100 to $1,000 per month as deposits. And when they have some kind of financial trouble, they can borrow a loan up to 5 times of what they put in.
Okay, entonces las entidades de economía social depositan entre 100 y $1,000 más o menos, y cuando ellos necesitan dinero pueden solicitar hasta 5 veces más cantidad de depósito.
To borrow the loan, they need a recommendation paper among the member of mutual aid fund.
Para solicitar ese préstamo necesitan una carta de recomendación por otra entidad.
With this mechanism, they can increase the spirit of mutual aid among social economic organizations, and they can provide safety net for running social economic organizations.
Entonces se alienta el espíritu de ayuda mutua entre las organizaciones de economía social, y también se ofrece una red de seguridad para las organizaciones de economía social.
Recently, the Mutual Aid Fund nurtured the ecosystem of social financing with their knowledge transfer and operation services to all over the nations in municipalities.
Entonces, hoy en día se está realizando la transferencia de este conocimiento, técnica y de conocimiento para todo el país, para toda Corea.
On the next slide, you can see the current status of Mutual Aid Fund. So I will just mention the 2 big number. The accumulated amount of fund goes $16 million. And from the $16 million, 35% come from the members. I think it's very important that the certain portion of the fund comes from the members, because most of the public fund just constructed by the public money.
Bueno, aquí están algunas cifras, pero bueno, quisiera destacar 2 importantes. En primer lugar, el capital acumulado de como 16,6 millones de dólares, y de los cuales el 35% viene de la aportación por los propios miembros. O sea, no depende completamente del Estado.
For now, we have about 237 members, and we have loan services about 497 times.
Entonces hay como 237 socios y 490, y bueno, y hay casi como 500 casos de préstamo.
And last but not least, I would like to mention about the network for social economic organization. Actually, Korea Solidarity Economy Network has been working since 2006. And they give a lot of inspiration to establish the Social Enterprise Promotion Act and Framework Act on Cooperatives. And now they are working for enforcing Framework Act on Social Economies.
Entonces, bueno, para terminar quisiera contar de la red de economía social y solidaria. Entonces existe la red coreana de economía social solidaria, y fundada en 2006, y bueno, trabajó mucho para las diferentes leyes como promoción de economías sociales y cooperativas, y ahora está trabajando para la ley básica de economía social.
But they are not registered as a legal entity until now, but because they don't have to do, each of the member has their own organization. But now they are preparing for being registered as a non-profit corporation to work more rigorously.
Hasta ahora carece de personalidad jurídica, porque bueno, cada socio, miembro, entidad social puede hacer todo lo que quiera, pero está ahora trabajando para el registro como una asociación.
So it convenes the national gathering of social economic organizations with diverse stakeholders. as a network of networks. So it leads the regional network, and it would like to lead the network of the social economy enterprises from each type.
Entonces convoca a la Asamblea General de Entidades entidades de Economía Social y Solidaria, es que bueno, y con distintos stakeholders como redes regionales y también redes, ¿no?, de tipos de empresas de economía social.
And it also hosts the campaigns. Currently, they are doing no walkout during COVID-19 agreement among social economic organizations, because everybody is suffering from the COVID-19. So somebody can be cut off, but they would like to suffer together and share together. And about 100 social economic organizations signed on this agreement.
Entonces, no se está haciendo hoy en día en el contexto post-pandémico una campaña de impedir el desempleo, ¿no? Y se ha hecho un acuerdo entre distintas organizaciones de economía social de no despedir a nadie por la causa del COVID-19.
So I will skip the next slide, and it's an interesting network of solidarity economy, so you can read it later.
Ahora no tiene tiempo para contar, pero se trata de una red interesante de economía solidaria.
I would like to mention about trends. First, we have high tendency to unlock resources for social economy through strategic philanthropy or innovative financing, not only from the public fund, but from the private sector.
Entonces, ahora les cuenta, ¿no?, sobre las tendencias. La primera es la alta tendencia a desbloquear recursos para la economía social mediante la filantropía estratégica y financiación innovadora tanto del sector público como del privado.
And second, we start to design international development cooperation with social economy. So it means that we would like to implement the social economic organizations not only in Korea, but in developing countries for their own sustainability. So KOICA has social and solidarity economy program now.
Entonces, la segunda tendencia es diseñar una cooperación internacional de desarrollo con economía social. Entonces, COICA, que es una agencia gubernamental de desarrollo, no para otros países en vía de desarrollo, entonces COICA está también empezando a trabajar para este tema en otros países.
And third, we really try hard to solve the negative issue of private platform economy with members owning platform.
Entonces, también estamos tratando de resolver todos estos problemas negativos de la economía de plataforma, ¿no?
So the last slide is the transformative economics, which is Miguel asked me before the presentation. So I will shortly explain about this. Suffering from the COVID-19, people start to realize the limit of the earth. So we start to think about what kind of action we should take. And I think the solidarity economy can be the answer for it, because it has a value of transformation with solidarity.
Entonces, bueno, Miguel le ha solicitado a Myung-hee algunas tendencias hacia la economía transformadoras. Entonces, la primera observación es que el sufrimiento por el COVID-19, la gente empieza a entender a aceptar el límite de la tierra y la necesidad de tomar acciones, y para eso nos servirá la economía solidaria.
In reality, in this November, we will have Seoul Social Innovation Week with the theme of sharing economy and local circular economy. And we try to engage more citizens into social economy voluntarily.
Entonces, en noviembre Corea tendrá la Semana de Innovación Social de Seúl. Ahí se va a presentar la economía colaborativa, la economía circular local, y tratarán de involucrar a más ciudadanos en la economía social y solidaria.
Before the presentation ends, I would like to thank to my colleague who shared their views on social and solidarity economy in Korea. So to name it, Korea Social Enterprise Promotion Agency and Seoul Social Economy Center, GSEP, Seoul Support Center, Totsoni Foundation, and Van Foundation, and even independent journalists and researchers helped me to construct this presentation. Thank you.
Entonces, para terminar, quisiera agradecer a todas las fuentes, ¿no? Que le ha inspirado a Myung-hee a preparar ese poema. O sea, la Agencia Coreana para la Promoción de Empresas Social, el Centro de Seúl de Economía Social, el GSEP, el Foro Global de Economía Social, el Centro de Seúl para el Soporte a las Cooperativas, la Fundación Totsoni y la Fundación BAND, y también otros investigadores y periodistas individuales. Muchas gracias. Okay, thank you, Myung-hee, for the presentation. And last but not least, I'd like to give the words to Michael Lai from originally from Hong Kong.
Yeah.
So here you see the PowerPoint.
Yes. Whether or not you can open the PowerPoint, right?
Yes. Yeah. Well, the problem is that I have to take notes on my PC, so I can't. This is the largest size I can share.
Mm.
Are you seeing the PowerPoint?
Because we can't share the PowerPoint because it's not allowed. Therefore, it also relies.
Yeah, I try. Other speakers tried to share, but somehow they couldn't. So this is the only way that I have to share from my own local PC. So please.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you very much. First, just having very honored to have this opportunity to share about the social economy in Hong Kong, and I think in the coming minutes, I'll talk a little bit more about the general ideas of the development and the landscape of shared economy in terms of maybe cooperatives, social enterprises, or community enterprises in Hong Kong, as a very brief introduction for you all.
Entonces, bueno, ahora va a ser una presentación breve y va a hablar la idea general del desarrollo y el panorama de la economía social, de empresas sociales y cooperativas en Hong Kong.
Okay, to give you very brief introduction of Hong Kong, that I think most of people will know that Hong Kong is a very rich place, and but at the same time, the poor-rich gap is actually quite severe because the Gini coefficient now is talking about 0.54, and it's famous on the freest economy in the world. But at the same time, people believe that this is what we call the last bastion of capitalism. Therefore, we know that for the impression of Hong Kong that people will immediately think about it is the free market, the strong market forces in capitalism.
Entonces, bueno, va a haber algunas cosas básicas sobre Hong Kong. La gente piensa que Hong Kong es un territorio rico, pero hay mucha disparidad y tiene una de las economías más liberales y por lo tanto, y también se identifica como el último bastión del capitalismo. Entonces, allá existe mucho mercado libre y también, bueno, capitalismo.
Okay. To give a very brief overview of the development or the current situation of sharing the social economy in Hong Kong, that first of all, it's still in very small scale development, that there are some projects and NGOs developing their own ones, but most of them are actually in very, very small scale. And some of them even rely on the subsidy by the NGOs, otherwise they actually can't survive. And but some of the collaborations may happen between these small scale projects, but not necessary.
Entonces, quisiera destacar algunas características de la economía social en Hong Kong. En primer lugar, es una todavía muy pequeña y, bueno, muchas veces dependen del subsidio por parte de ONGs, pero empieza a haber colaboraciones, pero no necesariamente entre todos los actores de economía social.
And the second point is that there's actually lack of really studies or detailed and comprehensive studies on the development of social economy in Hong Kong. Therefore, it's actually not very clear about how many numbers of the projects and organizations. And at the same time, we also don't know about the revenues or how the developments, how good it is now. Is actually still in a doubt.
El segundo problema es que no existen como estudios, ¿no? Entonces no se sabe ¿no? cuántos proyectos existen, cuántas organizaciones, cuántas facturaciones hay, y cómo se ha desarrollado en los últimos años, etc.
Okay, and the final overview is that to give you that impression that despite there are small projects, as I mentioned, they do have strong motive to develop. Therefore, they try to establish the alliance, but despite the motive and the willingness, most of them actually lack of strategies to help each others and even for themselves to develop. And therefore, some of them are actually facing the survival problems.
Entonces, existen fuertes motivos para de formar una alianza para el desarrollo, pero todavía faltan estrategias y muchas iniciativas están todavía luchando por su propia sobrevivencia.
Okay, and one of the most important development of social economy in Hong Kong is about the alliance of the what we call the Hong Kong Social Economies Alliance. It actually connects different social economy projects and NGOs in Hong Kong and try to promote and advocate for a better social economy movement.
Entonces, uno de los desarrollos más importantes ahí en Hong Kong es la Alianza de Hong Kong de Economía Social, que conecta distintos proyectos de economía social y ONGs allí y promueve y aboga la economía social.
They have published a manifesto of social economy in Hong Kong in 2011. They tried to argue that the current problem of capitalist economy in Hong Kong, which is most likely what we talk about the failure of trickle-down theory, that it's not possible for using capitalism to cope with the current social problems. And therefore they argue and advocate for an alternative paradigm for market economy, which is the social economy, but not rely on the corporations, and try to revitalize and broaden the diversity of economic activities dedicated for people's livelihood.
Entonces, en 2011 se publicó el Manifiesto de Economía Social y ahí, bueno, aborda el tema de distintos problemas de la economía capitalista y como se propone como alternativa, ¿no?, a la economía social y también reaviva y, bueno, alarga la diversidad de las actividades.
I think later we can show about there's one map that highlights the major social economy projects in Hong Kong in 2014, because I can't find the soft copy now, but I've got it one for more latest. It actually shows a lot of different types of projects, including cooperatives, social enterprise, community support agriculture, fair trade, and others related projects.
Entonces, bueno, después uno va a mostrar un mapa de economía social en Hong Kong en 2014 con distintos tipos de proyectos, cooperativas, empresas sociales, agricultoras, ¿no?, apoyadas por la comunidad, etc.
Okay, in this presentation, I'll talk about 4 developments of the major practices, including cooperatives, social enterprise, community support agriculture, and community economies. And in here, despite we're having different entities, sometimes the boundary is actually not clear. For example, like a social enterprise may actually work in the forms of cooperative, but at the same time, they have close connections or even have a lot of operations directly related to community economies. Therefore, somehow the boundary is actually not clear that some projects are actually having maybe 2 to 3 different entities.
And I suppose so. This is here, here maybe, or here. Perdona que me. So which was the slide you were not showing?
9.
This one.
9. Slide 9.
Slide 9. Oh, sorry. Sorry. So, perdón. Entonces no. Entonces aquí estaba el mapa, perdón. Y entonces, no, como tipología se puede mencionar cooperativas, empresas sociales, agricultura sostenida por la comunidad y empresas comunitarias. Y muchas veces las fronteras entre estas entidades no son tan claras. O sea, por ejemplo, una cooperativa que más o menos también juega el papel de empresa social, economía comunitaria, etc.
Okay, first of all, for cooperatives in Hong Kong, most of them are actually formed by women in recent development, but at the same time, most of them are initiated by NGO and funded by the NGOs. Most of them are actually in very small scale and really struggle to survive, except some of them may be able to independence and reach the financial balance. And most of the services are also related to generally what people perceive of what women are doing: postnatal care, outpatient escort services, cleansing, etc. And for cooperative now, one of the major issues is that even they name or they operate like a cooperative, the legal entity is still using the limited company, but not for the cooperative one.
Entonces, bueno, la primera categoría son las cooperativas. La mayoría son formadas por mujeres y no iniciadas o financiadas por ONGs. Y muchas luchan, ¿no? Para su sobrevivencia debido a su pequeña, ¿no? Su pequeño tamaño. Y las actividades están muy relacionadas con lo que suelen hacer las mujeres, sobre todo, por ejemplo, ¿no? Cuidado después del parto, o, bueno, limpieza, etc. Y otra cosa es que muchas cooperativas tienen la la personalidad jurídica de empresas limitadas.
Okay, one of the very famous case in Hong Kong is what we call the Healthy Mother to Be Association Limited. It is a cooperative for providing the postnatal services. As I mentioned, most of them, including this one, are registered as limited company and first initiated by NGO. But this is a relatively successful case because they can now be independent and financially balanced. And most of the members, they have around 80 members. They have a very more structured, they're more structured in divided into different districts for their own district services. And most of the time, they will join together as a kind of more like a general meeting for all members in each season to decide and discuss the major decision that the cooperative is going to do and make and try to vote in order to get the final strategies for the coming seasons.
Entonces, el primer caso es la Asociación Limitada para Futuras Madres Sanas y se dedica a los servicios postnatales y, bueno, como ha dicho antes, ¿no? Está registrada como sociedad limitada, no como cooperativa. Y fue fundada por una ONG, pero ahora es independiente y logra el equilibrio financiero. O sea, financieramente ya es una entidad sana. Y tienen como 80 socias y que trabajan, esparcidas en distintos barrios de Hong Kong, y también, bueno, existe ese tema de toma de decisión democrática para direcciones importantes, discusión en grupos y votación en reuniones generales.
And I think this is one of the most, famous case for cooperative in Hong Kong that even now they are being an idol, the model of other cooperatives, especially with the women cooperatives, and therefore they also provide a kind of trainings for the postnatal services. They provide some of the consultant services, or even they share a lot on the operation with those who want to set up the cooperatives in near district, or they try to, when they try to want to set up a new one, they can provide a lot of opinions and the experiences.
Entonces esa cooperativa no se ha hecho muy famoso, este modelo se ha hecho muy famoso y entonces se han fundado otras cooperativas de mujeres ahí y bueno, y también da capacitación para servicios postnatales y ofrece consultoría y ayuda a la fundación de otras cooperativas.
Okay, the second one is about the community supported agriculture. This is actually quite new, developed in recent decades, I think in recent 10 to 20 years. This is due to the practice for some people who try to revive of the fading of agriculture in Hong Kong. Of course, this kind of newly developed community supported agriculture is having close connection with the rural community, especially the villages in Hong Kong, despite a lot of them being abundant before. Most of these kind of new developed community supported agriculture focus more on the organic farming in order to reach sustainability. But at the same time, it also organizes a lot of different activities to connect with the broader communities in the city, including education, agriculture fair every week, and therefore having different experiential activities and study some kind of tours during the vacation time for the Hong Kong citizens and other visitors.
Entonces, el segundo caso es la agricultura sostenida por la comunidad, que es un nuevo desarrollo en los últimos como 10 años. Nació con la voluntad de reavivar la agricultura en Hong Kong, porque bueno, Hong Kong también tiene pueblos chiquitos, no solo todo Hong Kong es como, son rascacielos. Entonces, se fomentan como conexión cercana entre esos pueblos medio abandonados en Hong Kong con la ciudad. Y bueno, entonces se fomentan pequeños agricultores orgánicos para la sostenibilidad y se organizan diferentes actividades como feria u otras actividades experimentales para conectar la ciudad con esos pueblos.
And there, in recent years, there's new development to expand the connections that they have a lot of collaborations with social enterprise, cooperative, and marketplace in recent years in order to maximize their revenues and in order to survive. But recent year, as in Hong Kong, that because of the housing crisis, and therefore the government and the developers are actually having a lot of newly planned urbanization projects for new towns, and therefore a lot of them are actually facing risk for closure.
Entonces ha habido nuevos desarrollos para cooperar con empresas cooperativas, marketplace, pero por otra parte, debido a la crisis de vivienda, hay presiones de construir más vivienda y algunas huertas se ven obligadas a cerrarse.
One of the major and most famous cases is what we call the Mapopo community farm. It started from the summer in 2010, which co-founded by one of the villagers and the environmentalists. The basic original purpose of having this community farm is actually a kind of opposition of the developing of a new town in that area. And therefore they start to revitalize the community by having sustainable farming, having tours, workshops, first of all, to promote the idea of community-supported agriculture, and at the same time, raise people's attention about the problems of having unlimited urbanization projects that harm their interests and even harm their life, and therefore they closely connected to social movement in that area.
Entonces, un caso interesante es la huerta comunitaria en Mapopo. Nació como en verano de 2010 y fue confundada por vecinos y ambientalistas, y el propósito original era la oposición al desarrollo de un nuevo barrio, nueva urbanización, urbanización ilimitada que daña la vida, y entonces se ha juntado con la agricultura huerta sostenible, con visitas a talleres, ferias agrarias, incluso la agricultura como sostenida por la comunidad, y se ha puesto en contacto estrecho con distintos movimientos sociales del barrio.
And I think most of the community supported agriculture in Hong Kong is actually quite close to the urban areas, which in some pictures are provided in PowerPoint. That's actually, you can see just a street next to the farm. There's actually the public housing or the housing estate. And therefore, one of the major strategies for them is to having the tours, experiential workshops for the family members and all the students that they do explicitly having that kind of strategies in order to connect the peoples that try to let others know, first of all, about the importance of agriculture in Hong Kong. Second, to raise their attention towards limited urbanization in Hong Kong, that they want them to support the movement against, and at the same time talk about to promote the idea of sustainability in Hong Kong.
Entonces, bueno, muchas vueltas está justo como se ve, ¿no?, en la foto, ¿no?, al lado de, ¿no?, bueno, esas torres. Entonces la gente, o sea, se vincula entre los campesinos y los vecinos, ¿no?, para que la gente, y también se hacen ferias, visitas, etcétera, para que la gente se dé importancia de la, ¿no?, agricultura y, bueno, la sostenibilidad, todo eso en Hong Kong.
Okay, the third one is about social enterprise. In government's website, it talks about the definition or the idea of social enterprise is actually highly market oriented. They mention about the social enterprise is business targeted to achieve specific social objective through entrepreneurial strategies. But at the same time, they explicitly mention about not less than 65% of its distributable profit are reinvested into the business. But do remind that for any or for most of the listed company, the percentage of distributable profit to reinvest is actually the same as the definition of what government mentioned. Therefore, the ideas of redistribution or reinvest in business is totally the same with business, but without any kind of difference.
Entonces, bueno, el concepto de economía social en Hong Kong es muy no orientado hacia el mercado, hasta la definición no oficialista del gobierno. O sea, una empresa social es un negocio enfocado en lograr objetivos sociales específicos mediante estrategias empresariales, operaciones de automantenimiento y no menos del 75% de sus beneficios distribuibles es reinvertido en el comercio para los objetivos que busca el negocio. O sea, esta definición es muy, en esta definición se refleja muy claramente esas visiones, ¿no?, bueno, mercantiles.
For social enterprise in Hong Kong, it do have a rapid development that within 10 years is nearly having triple than the development in 2008. But because of the terms, social enterprise is very big in Hong Kong, that explicitly advocate by the social entrepreneurs that they want to develop more better, and therefore they deliberately not talk about the definition. And therefore, now in Hong Kong, we face a situation that what we call the anything goes, because anyone, they claim that they are social enterprise, then they are social enterprise. And therefore, what they call the business fulfilling social needs, the term of social needs is actually vague enough that includes everybody inside, even for the cooperative, even for the corporation, sorry.
Entonces, bueno, es verdad que, bueno, se ha triplicado el número de empresas sociales, ¿no?, ahí en Hong Kong, de 200 y pico a más de 605, pero esa definición es muy ambigua, por lo tanto, cualquier emprendimiento podría ser reconocido como empresa social. Entonces, cualquier empresario social inventa, ¿no?, su propio motivo para ser social, hasta las corporaciones tradicionales también quieren identificarse como empresa social.
Okay. Miko, can you share the PowerPoints actually to the audience, because it's still in the last PowerPoint as I saw in the screen.
Here?
Right. In the screen is still for the last presentation, right?
This one, or right now I'm at 16.
Okay. Okay, I'll continue first.
Okay.
For the development of social enterprise, most likely we can divide into 4 different stages. The first stage is in early 2000s, that most likely lead by the NGOs to cope with the changing subvention system, because the government has limited this subsidized amount to the NGO. Therefore, they need to find new financial source, and therefore most likely they try to establish the work integration social enterprise.
Entonces, las empresas sociales tienen distintas etapas. La primera etapa, en la primera etapa estaban lideradas por ONGs que luchaban contra el sistema de subvención y no. Sí. Please.
Okay. The second stage is about the government acknowledge the issues of poverty, and therefore they try to use social enterprise as a strategy to alleviate poverty issues in Hong Kong. And therefore, there are several major funding supported by government that hope that NGOs and other organizations can establish social enterprise to solve the poverty issues.
Entonces, en la segunda etapa, el gobierno se dio cuenta de las empresas sociales como medio para aliviar la pobreza. Entonces, convocaron a ONGs y otras entidades, ¿no? Para que se dedicaran a este tema.
Hey Miguel, some audience mentioned that the slide here, the screen here is still presenting the previous speaker's PowerPoints.
All right, it's weird. Let me see that. Okay. Okay, so, okay, I will share once again.
Okay.
I suppose this, oops.
Okay. And the third one is about the first stage is about the involvement of the different actors, especially for the social entrepreneurs and the foundation and platform organizations. In that stage from 2006 and now, it's actually getting a lot of new development and diverse development. But it gradually, because most of the social entrepreneurs in Hong Kong are from business perspective, and therefore they try to dominate the whole discourse of what social enterprise is, how to be a successful social enterprise, and at the same time, how should a social enterprise being operated. They nearly having that kind of powerful influences on the ideas and the trends of what social enterprise should go.
Ok, en la tercera etapa, bueno, se están involucrando, ¿no?, distintos empresarios sociales, fundaciones, ¿no?, organizaciones de plataforma. O sea, estamos viendo por una parte la diversificación, pero por otra parte, ¿no?, muchos de esos actores vienen del mundo de negocios, entonces no traen estas visiones de cómo no tener éxito en empresas sociales, ¿no? O sea, se refiere a estas aproximaciones, ¿no?, muy comerciales.
Okay, in the final or the recent stage, on the fourth stage, that the ideas of social innovation is being more popular, and therefore the social entrepreneurs are actually promoting social innovation as the major ideas of social enterprise development, and therefore all the tones and the discourses changed towards innovation. But at the same time, the issues again that how can we identify what is innovation? How can we identify which ideas, or how can we reach social innovation is actually vague. And of course, in this sense, because the people having different ideas, as I mentioned, and therefore there are actually diverse, even more diverse in different types of services and business models for the social enterprise in recent years.
Entonces, en la última etapa, bueno, aparece, ¿no?, el tema de, bueno, se ha hecho popular el concepto de innovación social. Entonces, ¿no?, el tono ha cambiado totalmente, pero la pregunta es, ¿qué tipo de innovación, qué tipo de ideas está, ¿no? Entonces, cada uno tiene su propia idea y entonces hay como cierto tipo de como confusión en ese concepto.
Okay, here comes the next slide for some of the ideas and some of the examples which is famous in Hong Kong. For you can see the 331 is actually a famous brand name of an NGO having the services to the mentally rehabilitants in Hong Kong. They try to establish these ideas that no matter physical, mental, and spiritual health is important, because the Chinese name of 330 is actually talk about the health of mental, physical, and spiritual.
Entonces aquí no se ven los diferentes logotipos de ONGs, ¿no? Por ejemplo, 330, ¿no? Es una ONG que se dedica a la rehabilitación de las personas con distintas, ¿no? Problemas de salud o mental, etc.
And there are two major ideas of the examples that in the left-hand side you can see a diamond cap is actually a taxi service for those who are having wheelchairs, that they can provide the taxi service for them to go directly to the hospital. And for the downside, the ginkgo house, the left corner side is wise that helping the seniors or the elderly to have their employment if they want to work even after their retirement, because they realize that a lot of them, if they retire without anything to do, a lot of them will suffer from depression. And therefore, Ginkgo House is actually a very famous a restaurant by supporting the employment of the elderly.
Bueno, y hay, quisiera destacar, bueno, contar dos casos. El primero es Diamond Cab, que es un servicio de taxi para aquellas personas con silla de rueda, y también, ¿no? Estar adaptada, ¿no? Para sus propias necesidades, por ejemplo, ir al hospital. Y también hay otra entidad que se llama Ginkgo House, que es un restaurante donde se emplean las personas mayores que muchas veces, sufren de depresión después de jubilarse porque no tienen nada que hacer. Sí.
Okay, next slide, please. In Hong Kong, despite the government do not have any definition of social enterprise, some volunteers, or you can say the NGOs now, the Hong Kong General Chamber of Social Enterprise is actually developing the accreditation themselves in order to differentiate the development and the achievement of the social enterprise in Hong Kong.
De hecho, en Hong Kong no hay ninguna definición de empresas sociales, pero entonces la Cámara General de Hong Kong de Empresas Sociales no tiene esa, de esa marca.
Okay, next slide, please. And another very important social enterprise that I would like to share is that because of the housing problem in Hong Kong is severe, and many parents, single-parent families are living in what we call a subdivided flat, which the living condition is very poor, and therefore they try to communicate with some homeowners to rent the housing with a really reasonable price to match two single-parent families together inside a single house. And at the same time, they can provide the supervisions and support by the social workers in order to, as a kind of intermediate measure before going to the public housing that they are applying for.
Entonces, el caso se llama Lightly, que es, bueno, ya ha mencionado el tema de la vivienda ahí en Hong Kong es muy complicado, sobre todo para esas familias, familias monoparentales, sí. Bueno, y entonces, bueno, ofrece esa vivienda asequible, para mejorar la condición de vida.
Okay, next slide, please.
Okay.
Yeah, the final one is the community economy. Most of the common practices is for the time coupon. When they start in early 2000s because of the Asian financial crisis and economic downturn, led by one of the major angel in Hong Kong called St. James Salomon, to have the ideas of the community-oriented mutual economy. And they focus more on democratic participation, focus on the social capital and solidarity. And now the development of community economy is actually quite fast. In each region in Hong Kong, there are actually new development for the time coupon, and now they're connecting with different regions. And in order to, because most of them are actually having different time coupon on their own district, and therefore they try to connect these different time coupons project to form a platform that all these time coupons can be circulated in different districts.
Entonces, el último tema es la economía comunitaria, que, bueno, nació más o menos en los primeros años de 2000, la década de 2000, con la crisis financiera asiática y el retroceso económico. Y, bueno, son de hecho bonos de tiempo, bono de tiempo y, ¿no? Y fue impulsada por la economía mutua orientada hacia la comunidad del barrio de San Jaime y bueno, se destacan la participación democrática, el enfoque en el capital social y solidaria y hoy en día se están ¿no? tratando, bueno, y si bien no se han desarrollado distintos sistemas en distintos barrios sin que se conectaran hasta ahora, están trabajando para que se haya bueno, sinergia ¿no? entre distintos barrios.
Next slide, please. As I mentioned, for the community-oriented mutual economy, they have four major ideas and objectives based on the mutual help, the time coupon projects. People's talents can be fully developed, utilizing all the products, getting good use of the spaces and the mutual help or mutual benefits to meet each person's needs.
Entonces, bueno, hay cuatro objetivos principales, ¿no? O sea, que se puede desarrollar el talento popular, la utilización de todos los productos, haciendo un buen uso de los espacios y los beneficios mutuos en satisfacer necesidades.
Okay, next slide, please. The major ideas is that when they provide services, you can see that most of the ideas is actually the previous slide. Yes, one of the major characteristics for this project is that they actually operate inside of historical buildings that's protected by the government. You can see on the right-hand side for the blue buildings, what we call the blue house. It's actually a very famous buildings, and most of the activities will having, for example, like in the middle there are shops for social enterprise, and in the left-hand side for the picture is about how people can exchange their effort and mutual help in order to earn the time coupons.
Entonces, bueno, aquí se ve ¿no? una imagen dentro de un edificio histórico muy famoso en que se encuentran ¿no? diferentes actividades, comercios, ¿no? empresas sociales, cómo la gente no puede no hacer bueno, sus esfuerzos hacia la ayuda mutua.
Next slide, please. Yes. In a very general sense, I'm having that kind of ideas that there are somehow some enabling environment for further development of the social economy in Hong Kong. We know that, especially for the middle class, people's awareness is actually growing. People know that social economy is important. People know that the issue of capitalism's problem, and therefore they were willing to support the development. For example, like if they willing to go to social enterprise to purchase the products, they may be interested in joining the community economy activities, and some may even develop, for some youth, they try to develop cooperatives by themselves, and therefore people's awareness is growing. And therefore, at the same time, different projects are growing awareness of having better collaboration in Hong Kong or even cross regions. For example, like in Taiwan and in China, they do establish some kind of networks that help to develop. And at the same time, some projects, because a lot of them are led by NGOs, the NGOs are actually able to get some funding support from the government, from the corporations, and from the foundations to help the development with basic funding support. And therefore, you can see for these things that it's better in this decade that the social economy in Hong Kong is having developed rather better than in early 2000s, I think.
Okay. Entonces hay algunos factores que ahora están ¿no? fomentando ¿no? más desarrollo que antes. En primer lugar, ¿no? se ha ¿no? aumentado la conciencia, sobre todo de la clase media, ¿no? sobre la economía social, ¿no? sus críticas contra el capitalismo, etc. Entonces, ¿no? la gente está bueno, ¿no? comprando cada vez más productos ¿no? de empresas sociales, ¿no? participan en actividades comunitarias, desarrollan ¿no? cooperativas y también bueno, se está bueno, dando cada vez más ¿no? intercooperación ¿no? entre distintas prácticas, no solo dentro de Hong Kong, sino también con Taiwán o con ¿no? China metrópoli y también bueno, hay cada vez más oportunidades como soporte financiero por parte del gobierno y también por parte de grandes corporaciones.
But at the same time, the hindering factors are also severe because, for example, for the cooperative, the ordinance is actually very outdated. The current law regulation for the cooperative is actually still in based on 100 years ago for the fishery, agriculture, and vegetable ones, but not for the current social cooperatives. At the same time, a lot of practitioners, they are having that kind of visions. Okay, they want to develop a social economy that are having the alternative paradigm to the capitalist system, but most of them actually lack of strategies. They do have the ideal, but a lot of them can't get back to reality on how it works and how it develops in a real context. And at the same time, the last 2 points actually, I think, is unique in Hong Kong. Because of the skyrocketing rent in Hong Kong, the rent is crazy in Hong Kong for places to rent it, even for small shops. And therefore, a lot of the social enterprises and cooperatives are actually unable to afford rent, and therefore they are forced to shut down. And at the same time, in recent years, that in Hong Kong, that the redevelopment projects and displacement issues in Hong Kong are actually severe. And therefore, the problem is that especially with the heavy negative impact towards the community economy, because people are being displaced, and therefore even they are forced to move out on the areas to the community that even they cannot join any activities by the projects, and therefore it shows a lot of difficulties in further develop social economy in Hong Kong.
Pero bueno, también hay distintos factores que impiden más desarrollo. En primer lugar, la legislación actual de cooperativas en Hong Kong ya tiene 100 años y era sobre las cooperativas agrarias y que no es nada apropiada para la realidad contemporánea. Y también, aunque los activistas tienen mucha voluntad de crear alternativas al capitalismo, les faltan estrategias. Y hay dos elementos muy típicos de Hong Kong. En primer lugar, ahí en Hong Kong el alquiler de oficinas es desmesurado. Por lo tanto, muchas entidades ya no pueden pagar el alquiler y se ven obligados a cerrar su proyecto. Y por último, Hong Kong también tiene muchos proyectos de redesarrollo y de salud. Entonces, muchas personas no tienen que irse de un barrio a otro, entonces se desmorona esa cohesión social, etc.
Okay, for the final slides, that whether it can be a positive direction towards transformative economy in Hong Kong, that we do see some new movement. For sharing economy, it's not just talk about the Airbnb, Uber, that having a lot of focus on the ventures and business model, but at the same time, we do see a lot of sharing economy projects in Hong Kong is having a lot of them actually more community basis, which means they focus more on solidarity, reciprocity, and social capital in that sense. At the same time, as I mentioned, a lot of them having good intention, but they do face a lot of troubles, especially in how to be pragmatic in operating in a real context. I do think for Eric Wright's book, for Real Utopia, show a lot of insight on that one, because a lot of them only focus on utopia, but not for a real situation. And at the same time, they still face a lot of problems, as I mentioned, for the difficulties. They still having, especially for social enterprise, for the final point, that they heavily affected by the neoliberal economy in Hong Kong. Because the social entrepreneur, a lot of them actually from the business side, they use social entrepreneurship as a kind of developing new types of capitalist ideas in Hong Kong through the social enterprise. And therefore, I do see that when we try to develop transformative economy, the structure is actually not being changed. And the paradigm is actually still moving towards the neoliberal part in Hong Kong, rather than having the alternative paradigm, especially in social enterprise.
Bueno, en cuanto hacia la economía transformadora en Hong Kong, bueno, también ahora estamos viendo como diferentes economías colaborativas que no son como Uber o Airbnb, sino también hay muchas iniciativas basadas en las comunidades, ¿no? Con mucho capital social en ese, ¿no? en ese sentido sociológico, y mucha gente. Pero otro problema es que mucha gente todavía, aunque tiene mucha intención, le falta el pragmatismo en las prácticas, cómo realmente llevar a cabo los proyectos. Y otro problema es que sobre todo las empresas sociales ahí en Hong Kong no sufren influencias por los neoliberales que quieren desarrollar un nuevo tipo de ideas capitalistas mediante empresas sociales. Entonces, ahí se ha mantenido la misma estructura y el mismo paradigma, ¿no? Y que es, por supuesto, neoliberal.
Okay, I think that's the end of the presentation. Thank you very much.
Ahora, entonces, ha terminado su presentación. Muchas gracias. Thank you very much, Michael. And well, actually, we've spent almost 2 hours for 3 presentations. Hemos pasado casi 2 horas, ¿no? En todas las 3 presentaciones. But they have been all interesting, which reflects, ¿no? Particular situation of each country. Pero han sido muy interesantes todas las 3 presentaciones en que se reflejan las circunstancias particulares de cada país. So I'd like to ask you brief questions. Quisiera abrir el debate, pero breve. ¿Quién quiere preguntar? Who wants to make a question? Sorry that Osamu is now leaving because it's already midnight there in Japan. Es que Osamu tiene que irse porque ya es medianoche en Japón.
Miguel, yo tengo una pregunta.
¿Sí?
Para el compañero que habló sobre la economía social en Japón. Sí. El primero, ¿cómo se llama?
Sí. Osamu
Nakano. Mira, no sé cómo es el régimen, si me pudiera explicar cómo es el régimen de asistencia social para los trabajadores y para los mayores en Japón. En México, pues tenemos el sistema de seguridad social para los trabajadores tanto del Estado como de las empresas privadas, que tienen sus instituciones para darle medicina, o sea, servicio médico, prestaciones económicas y sociales. Pero si me pudiera explicar cómo es el régimen de asistencia social en Japón y cómo es que las cooperativas para mayores y para otro tipo de personas con discapacidad, por ejemplo, han cobrado tanta relevancia en Japón y que en nuestro país pues pudieran ser una alternativa a las limitaciones que tienen estas instituciones. No sé si me expliqué, Miguel.
Okay. So Jose Montesino's question is about the social assistance regime for workers and the elderly in Japan. He's from Mexico, and there the social security system has its own institution to give drugs, to provide some social and economic support. But but he's really interested to know why in Japan such elderly corps or people cooperative with handicapped people have achieved such importance.
I'm sorry. All right. So actually in Japan, so there is obviously there is a governmental support system for elderly and people with disabilities, but for instance, in Japan, there's a so-called long-term care system for elderly peoples, and elderly people could get care support, for instance, by using governmental money, governmental financial support. And also, people with disability also could use such a care or a support service by using governmental supporting money. But on the other hand, on the other hand, it's not easy for elderly people or people with disabilities if they want to work. In other words, if they want to participate in society through working. So, for instance, as Myuhiri, and actually I know where Korea, and Korea, there's a social enterprise, the real system of social enterprises, and as I told you, in Italy, there's social cooperatives providing, working opportunity, job opportunity to people with disability and elderly. So, however, in Japan, there's no such a thing. So, in this regard, all right, so people with disability, they can live or they can get a support by using governmental money. So, however, they doesn't have opportunity to work. And the elderly has a pretty similar situation. So, in this regard, workers cooperative in Japan, so we are trying to give not only care service or support service, but also job opportunity to people with disability and elderly.
O sea, en Japón también, bueno, existe todo ese sistema gubernamental de apoyo para las personas mayores y también las personas con diversidad funcional, y existen también como un sistema de cuidado a largo plazo para las personas mayores, no con el dinero con el dinero público, etcétera. Pero el problema es que esas personas con ganas de trabajar, por ejemplo, los mayores, las personas mayores o las personas con diversidad funcional que quieren trabajar, tienen pocas oportunidades de trabajar. Entonces, nuestro objetivo es darles la oportunidad de trabajar para que ellos sigan y no teniendo su propia vida social y en vez de como aislarse, jubilarse y aislarse de la sociedad. ¿Está bien, José?
Sí, muchas gracias. Me queda claro que el objetivo no es la asistencia como tal, sino la de proveer oportunidades de empleo para el desarrollo personal. Muchas gracias.
Eso. So it's not it's to give them the chances for the personal development.
I'm sorry, I cannot follow.
Personal development.
Mm-hmm. So personal development is what?
Personal development to allow such people to have their own job.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's right. So actually, we are thinking, working. Obviously, it's pretty important for us, for the people, to get the money or to get the wages through working. So, however, on the other hand, we are thinking. Working opportunity is also, certain kind of opportunity for social participation, or, as you were right, kind of opportunity for, personal development. So, however, in Japan, people with disability, it's not easy for them to find out, such opportunities. So, we are providing such a working opportunity for people with disability.
Okay. Entonces, lo importante para nosotros es que para que la gente, no solo para que la gente tenga dinero, sino que para que la gente tenga esa participación social y también desarrollo personal. Porque, bueno, sobre todo las personas con diversidad funcional tienen pocas oportunidades de trabajar. ¿Está bien?
Muy bien, muchas gracias.
Ahora va Igor.
Muy buenos días, buenas noches por allá. Soy Igor Sura de México. Pues quiero decirles muchas felicidades a los tres expositores y en concreto quería preguntarle a Michael por su visión allá de Hong Kong, ¿cómo está funcionando las economías sociales solidarias con el régimen económico y político que tienen en China? Porque me llamó la atención la cuestión del neoliberalismo. Me gustaría saber cómo funcionan. Sería todo por el momento. Muchas gracias.
Un momento. Igor, ¿estás hablando de Hong Kong o China? Porque son dos regímenes totalmente distintos.
Sí. de China en concreto.
China. Okay, so his name is Igor Sora. He's also from Mexico, and he wants to say congratulations to all three speakers. And his question is for Michael. He wants to know about economic and political regime in mainland China, because he thinks it's a neoliberalism. So under this context, how is social and solidarity economy is being developed in mainland China? If you have some ideas.
It's actually quite, you can say there are some kind of development for, especially for cooperative. I think there are some movement or new developments in cooperative. But as I remember, for social enterprise in China, they are actually having fast moving, but most of them are actually being encouraged or even initiated by the social investment part, and therefore, and it's also is heavily connected with some of the government projects, some of them, because the government now is actually having some contracting out services for the social enterprise or for the NGOs that they are actually allowing them to apply for. But most of them now, especially for social economy in Hong Kong, I think, well, in China, most of them are, as I remember, only for some rural or community-based development. As far as I know, in a case in Yunnan or in Kunming, and they're actually having one quite famous social enterprise and community, you can say community enterprise development, that they try to connect a lot with the community villages in order to establish more sustainable businesses. But for the major cities, because I have connection with social enterprise, and a lot of them actually quite also influenced a lot by the social investment, as I remember. But I'm not quite in detail know about the exact development of, especially solidarity economy part in China.
Bueno, en cuanto a China, bueno, sí hay algún desarrollo de cooperativas y también hay movimiento de desarrollo de nuevas cooperativas, y también están creciendo las empresas sociales, pero la mayoría son alentadas por el tema de inversión no social. Entonces, y a veces esos proyectos reciben ayuda del gobierno chino, pero... Y bueno, el único campo en China en que no se establece la economía social y solidaria son casos del desarrollo comunitario, en algunos casos. Por ejemplo, en la provincia de Yunnan, en la ciudad de Kunming, si mal recuerdo, es la capital de allí. Entonces, hay una famosa empresa social que conecta distintos pueblos, etcétera, de forma sostenible. Pero bueno, en general la mayoría de ellos está influenciado por el tema de inversión social. Entonces todavía está bajo la lógica del capitalismo. ¿Está bien, Igor?
Sí, muy bien. Muchas gracias.
Very good. Thank you very much. Is there anybody else who wants in English or who wants to make a question?
Yes, I'd like to ask some questions to Mr. Nakano before he leaves. Is it okay?
Hi.
Yes. In the slide explaining the types of workers' cooperatives in Japan, there was a type of cooperative called shareholding cooperatives. I wonder what kind of cooperative it is. I mean, I didn't understand what function it has and things like that. And the second question about your presentation is that when you are presenting the statistics about the workers' cooperatives affiliated with the confederation, your confederation, you said that about 1/3 of the workers are non-member workers, while the other 2/3 are member workers. So I'm a little bit confused because you explained that the workers in the workers' cooperatives are not employed. I mean, working in a different type of working style than the employed work. But for those who are not members, are they employed by member workers, or, I mean, I'm a little bit confused that there are no member workers in the workers' cooperatives, and they are not employed either.
Well, Osam, please, and later I'll translate into Spanish.
Okay, so first of all, actually, you know, I provide a certain kind of typology or various type of workers cooperative, various type of cooperatives in industrial service sectors. But there are, workers cooperative, labor cooperative, social cooperative, blah blah blah. But actually, you know, in Japan, there are not such a thing. Actually, you know, I'm talking here about, you know, global circumstance of cooperatives in industrial service sectors. So in this regard, for instance, actually there is no, you know, social cooperative in Japan because there is no law or legal framework of social cooperative in Japan. Well, in this regard, you know, there is not, you know, shareholding holding cooperatives, but in Japan, all right. All right, Tomoko. But so, okay, so what is shareholding cooperatives? Shareholding cooperatives is a certain kind of cooperatives which has, you know, different categories of members. So, for instance, workers cooperatives, you know, member is workers, right? So workers make capital contribution and work and participate in the management, right? So by following, you know, one rule of one vote, one member, one vote. And the consumer cooperatives, in consumer cooperatives is a member are consumers, right? And the shareholding cooperatives is has in shareholding cooperatives, different type of members. Different type of people could be members of one cooperatives. Okay.
I think I understood.
Or
Thank you.
Perhaps is it shareholder cooperatives, stockholder, multi-stakeholder corps? Okay, then it's much easier to understand. So, entonces, ahora ha habido dos preguntas, ¿no? Para Osama. En primer lugar, ¿no? Había esa cooperativa de shareholding, ¿no? Pero bueno, lo que pasa es que esa cooperativa de shareholding sería más como cooperativas de stakeholders múltiples. O sea, por ejemplo, hay consumidores, hay trabajadores, ¿no? En la misma cooperativa. Yes, I understood that.
Okay, and the second question, actually, you were right. You know, right now JWC has almost 15,000 members, but 15,000 workers. So, however, you know, our members are almost 10,000, right? And but generally speaking, you know, JWC, you know, welcome workers cooperative in Japan. You know, we welcome everybody who wants to be members. So, however, in our workers, there are so many people. There are various kinds of people. For instance, there are certain kind of student who are doing part-time job in our workers cooperatives. So, if they won't be a member, so they can be. So, however, you know, they obviously, you know, in order to be a member, you know, they have to pay. They have to make a capital contribution, right? So in this regard, you know, there are one third of workers of JWCU, they chose to not to be a member right now. So, however, everybody always, we recommend or we encourage, such workers to be a members.
En cuanto a la segunda pregunta, es que, bueno, un tercio de los trabajadores, ¿no?, de las cooperativas japonesas de trabajo asociado no son socios. ¿Y por qué? No, entonces ha explicado Osamu que, bueno, por ejemplo, hay socios estudiantes que no quieren hacer trabajos a tiempo parcial, pero ellos no quieren, bueno, si ellos quieren ser socios, tendrán que pagar la cuota, ofrecer el capital social y, bueno, hacer tantas cosas. Entonces, hay personas que prefieren trabajar sin ser socios. Entonces, está ahí la flexibilidad. So,
okay, thank you, Mr. Nakano.
Thanks. Okay, so do you have some other questions, comments? Is everything clear for all of you? ¿Hay todavía más preguntas o no?
Yo sí tengo una pregunta más para Michael. Miguel, ¿lo puedo hacer?
Vale.
Mira, Michael, en la economía comunitaria hablaste de bonos de tiempo. No sé si pudieras explicar en qué consiste esos bonos de tiempo. Tenemos una referencia sobre los bonos de tiempo en España, pero no sé si sean los mismos que ustedes manejan a nivel de economía comunitaria. Muchas gracias.
Jose has another question about the communitarian economy. So you have time vouchers, and we learned similar experiences in Spain. But he likes to know how that kind of time vouchers are used.
Can you repeat a little bit for the question?
That means you thought about a community economy with a time voucher, time coupon. So could you elaborate how it works?
It's actually having the idea is that they put how to say in original setting they have a place for posting different signs or you can say for the so-called tasks that can be exchanged or needed by the community members, okay? Through helping each others with their own asset and capabilities, they try to earn what they call time coupon according to the same basis. For example, like if you want to earn 60 minutes, the amount of the time coupon, therefore you need to work for an hour, which everybody share the same basis on the time that you have spent. Now they try to develop in a more diverse sense, not just talk about the exchanging the services needed in the community. They try to connect with, for example, like working in the food processing in the social enterprise. They try to connect with the community agriculture, support the agriculture, that they try to be a part of farmer in order to earn that kind of a time coupon. And at the same time, they are connecting with the marketplace in that area that they try to have the exchange inside. Therefore, to some extent, it's a kind of now not just talk about exchanging the talent and capability, but it's kind of moving towards the some of the community economies projects, connecting with the tasks and asking those communities residents to join it in order to earn the time coupon, and they can try to be more a like of circular part that they can earn in the community and they can spend inside the community through the marketplace, through the services that they need in the NGOs. And for example, like if one of the cases that and the NGOs is actually collecting the second-hand products from the hotels or from the corporation that the community members can use the time coupon to you can say purchase to get some of the things that they want to have. And therefore, to me now, it's actually including a lot of different ideas, not just, I think it's expanding from this original purpose of only exchanging the talent to meet the needs of the resident, but rather than it's try to expand into more a real community economy, including different types of exchange works, and then try to circulate the coupons within the community as a whole, community-based organization and in the operation.
Okay. Entonces la pregunta, la respuesta es siguiente. Entonces, no, al inicio no, se había planteado la posibilidad de no intercambiar diferentes tareas, ¿no? Por intercambiar horas, tiempo. Entonces, no, con un bono de 60 minutos, o sea, entonces no, la gente no ganaba ese bono por hacer una hora de trabajo, ¿no? Y con eso, entonces, y también podía pedir una hora de trabajo. Entonces, pero esa idea se desarrolló más y ahora se consigue, ¿no? Con esos bonos se consiguen, ¿no? Algunos productos ofrecidos de segunda mano por parte de hoteles o grandes corporaciones, y la gente con esos bonos que ganan pueden comprar esos productos de segunda mano. Y también los agricultores, ¿no? Orgánicos pueden, ¿no? Emplear a los trabajadores, ¿no? Pagando en esas horas, etcétera, etcétera. Entonces, aunque nació en ese tema de no impulsar solo, ¿no? El intercambio de bienes, ¿no? Servicios, ¿no? Se ha desarrollado para ¿no? impulsar distintos tipos de ¿no? intercambio de, no solo de servicios, sino también de ¿no? productos hacia una economía más circular y más autosuficiente, ¿no? Entre los vecinos. ¿Está bien?
Muchas gracias. Sí, sí me queda claro.
Okay, now he understood. Thank you. So last questions. Is there anybody more who want to ask questions? ¿Hay todavía más alguien que quiera? ¿Sí?
Yes, I have one more question which I want to address to Ms. Lee. Yeah, I understand that there are quite a few migrant workers in South Korea.
Yes.
Mainly from Southeast Asia, but also from Nepal and so on. I wonder if there are any kind of SSE organization that are providing some kind of service or assistance to these migrant workers and their families.
So I can introduce one social enterprise, which is called Tripty. Tripty is the coffee company in Korea, and they grow the small coffee trees in Nepal and other Southeast Asia. And usually they have cafe in Seoul, and the headquarters of Tripty manage the cafe in Seoul. But they would like to send the migrant workers to their own countries. And when the migrant workers go back to their country, they can set up the small cafe with the knowledge transfer of Tripty. And they also have small workshops for the migrant workers or youth in Nepal or other Southeast Asian countries to make them sustainable in that country. Yeah, that's what I know.
Okay, can you spell the Tripty?
Yeah. T-R-I-P-T-I. Yes.
Tripty.
Yes.
Tripty. Ok, entonces, bueno, su pregunta era, ¿no? Que, bueno, en Corea ahora hay como bastante trabajadores inmigrantes, ¿no? De sudeste de Asia y Nepal. Entonces, ella quería saber si hay alguna organización, ¿no? Dentro de la economía social en Corea que ofrezca algún servicio, ayuda a esos tales como inmigrantes y familias. Entonces, Myung-hee ha respondido que sí hay una empresa social que se llama Tripti. Entonces, ellos plantan como árboles de café en Nepal y también tienen como cafeterías, ¿no? en distintos barrios de Seúl. Entonces, bueno, capacitan a los inmigrantes y después ellos vuelven a su país para establecer, ¿no? cafeterías semejantes, ¿no? En base a sus propias experiencias de haber trabajado ahí en Corea. Igor, is it okay?
Thank you, Ms. Lee.
Thank you.
Igor, ¿todavía tienes otra pregunta?
Quería preguntarle a Mari, ya hemos estado viendo que hay más de 13,000 empresas en Corea del Sur, empresas solidarias, ¿verdad? Y yo quisiera preguntarle, después de lo que estamos viviendo del COVID, ¿cómo está materializándose este apoyo a los ciudadanos con este tipo de empresas del cooperativismo? A mí me gustaría, así como veo que están trabajando con Nepal, pues poder hacer algo con México, ¿no? Porque he visto que trabajan de la mano mucho Japón, Corea, ahora vemos China, y bueno, sería interesante poder hacer algo por América Latina, coadyuvando con Asia, ¿verdad?
His question is that right now, South Korea has thousands of enterprises, and his question is about what can be done in terms to support the cooperative movement, enterprises. With the current context of COVID-19. And you also told about the social enterprise project in Nepal, but he expressed something similar can be done for Latin America as well. Or Mexico, yes.
Yes, for the second question, from the COICA, we have Social and Solidarity Economic Program. And even the middle income country can approach to the program, but it has to have a corporate consortium partnership with Korean civil sector organization and Korean social economy organizations and field social economy organizations. So 3 different organizations should make a partnership for applying for the funds, to have a social economy organization in developing countries. And last year, I was in Peru to oversee other social economy organizations in Latin America. And I found that a lot of enterprises working as a social economy enterprises, but they don't call themselves as a social economy organizations because they don't know the terminal list, I think, because it's mainly in Andean mountains. They are making business with a handmade craft mainly and try to sell it to other part of the world. That's what I've noticed. And for the cooperatives movement in Korea, and I think we are really expanding in numbers now. It's almost 20,000 cooperatives in Korea. So it's not a matter of the number of cooperatives, but we need some kind of real mindset about the corporate collaboration. I think that is lacking of within the cooperatives in Korea now.
Entonces, bueno, bueno, en cuanto a la cooperación internacional, a través de la agencia COICA, hay como programas de apoyo de economía social y solidaria, incluso para los países de renta mediana, ¿no? Pero bueno, hay que hacer partnership, colaboración, relación con organizaciones coreanas de economía social y solidaria. Y hay que tener al menos como 3 diferentes organizaciones para solicitar este tipo de fondos. El año pasado, Myung-hee estuvo en el Perú para conocer organizaciones de economía social y solidaria en Latinoamérica y se dio cuenta de que muchas entidades, aunque están trabajando en la economía social y solidaria, no tienen esa identidad de pertenecer a esa economía. Y ellos, por ejemplo, están en las sierras de los Andes y hacen como artesanías. Y en cuanto al apoyo al movimiento cooperativo, estamos ya bastante como expandiéndonos en términos de número. Existen casi 20.000 cooperativas en Corea. Entonces, eso ya no es un problema, ¿no? O sea, necesitamos otro tipo de, verdadera mentalidad de intercorporación que todavía está faltando dentro del sector cooperativo. ¿Está bien, Igor?
Muy bien, muchas gracias.
Very good, thank you. Do you have some last remarks? ¿Hay alguien que quiera comentar?
Oh, not really. Yes, I think it's late for
Yeah.
Asian countries, so yeah, let's finish it only.
Yeah, so thank you very much.
I have one comment.
Okay.
I have one comment. If you'd like to get my presentation files, feel free to share.
Okay, Myung-hee, can you leave your email so everybody can contact you?
Yeah.
Entonces, ahora Myung-hee va a dejar su correo. Entonces, si quien quiere recibir su PowerPoint, puede escribirle para pedir su PowerPoint. Michael, ¿también está bien? Michael, okay? Is it okay? Yeah. So people will ask you for PowerPoint. Unfortunately, Osamu has already left, so you can contact me in case you want to know the PowerPoint about Japan. Es que bueno, Osamu, el ponente japonés ya se ha ido porque era tarde y es tarde y entonces contáctenme a mí para recibir ese PowerPoint sobre Japón. Entonces, thank you very much, and I'll upload this. Okay,